Alright, thanks for watching again, Mr. Newbold's videos. Woo! So today we do have radians and degrees to radians. We also have Bert Witt in the house. What? From 5 years ago, and Adam for Algebra 2. Sister of Abby. Whoa, shout out. What's up, Abby, my teacher's aide? And then we also have Whitney. What's up, Whitney? Whitney's my current student. And so she's also here with us, just giving some moral support. Alright. Oh, and then you could, listen to me talking about you when you get home. That's cool. You can show your grandma, show your mom. Nice. All right, shout out. Okay, so this assignment isn't too bad. You do have to convert it and then graph it. So we already did 2 and 4 in class. So I'm actually going to jump to probably number 8. Looks like maybe a tricky one. So to go from radians to degrees, you want to cancel out the pi because there is no pi in degrees. And so to do that, we just go ahead and divide by, so we're going to divide it by pi so that our pi's can cancel out, and then now there's no more pi in there. But if we do divide by pi, we have to do the equivalent in degrees. So if we do a circle here, right, if we do a circle there, so then a full circle there is 180 degrees, is that angle right there that we learned in class. And as well, in radians, it's just pi radians. So they're equivalent to each other, right? They equal each other, really. They do. Just like 12 inches equals a foot, right? And so they equal each other. So we're going to put 180 over pi. So whenever you're going from radians to degrees, you're going to go ahead and times by 180 over pi. Times by 180 over pi. Cool. So when we do that, the pi's cancel out, and we're left with 3 times 180. Oops, it's a negative 3. Don't forget the negative over 4. And then we can use our calculator there and go negative 3 times 180. And then divide that whole thing by 4. And so we get negative 135. So our answer there is equal to negative 135 degrees. Nice. And so that's our answer for number 8. However, we do need to graph it as well. And so to go negative down to burn. So to go negative degrees, we go downward. And so here is negative 90 degrees. You got to keep going. So too far is negative 180. So 135 is right about, negative 135 is right about there. So there's your graph. So you need to get that for a point. Whoa. Get your graph correctly, and then also get your conversion correct. Cool. So there's that one. Let me just do a degree one with you. And so we'll go to the back side for that. Maybe we'll do, let's see, 120. That's not too bad. So to do 120 degrees, you tack on the pi. And thank you. Have a good night. Yeah, what was your name too? I forgot. Was it Alyssa? Cool. Shout out to Alyssa. You're immortalized now. What? Have a good night. Yeah. Let me do this one, Whitney, and then we'll just make sure and check your answers there. Okay, so 120 times pi, and then we do have to divide it by 180, because it's always pi over 180 is our formula there. So we're timesing that. So now we get 120. And then we're going to put the pi off to the side because it's hot. It's so hot, that pie is so yummy. So we're going to put the pi off to the side. It's still being multiplied, but put it off to the side and just deal with the 120 over 180. And then we got to reduce it, because 120 pi over 180 is not the answer. We do have to reduce it. We're going from degrees to radians. So see how we flipped it? Instead of 180 over pi, now we're actually multiplying by pi over 180. So we flipped it, and that's the formula we use for converting from degrees to radians. So the zeros go away. We're just left with 12 over 18. And then 12 over 18 can be reduced by 6. So we get 2 pi. Put the pi back. It's cooled off now. So 2 pi over 3. 18 divided by 6 is 3. Nice. So there's our answer there for that one. Cool. And then over here to this part of the homework assignment, we're going to jump over here now. Okay, so that's radians, degrees to radians. And then doing the coterminal angles, all you're trying to do is find the quadrant that it's in. So let's do a radian one, because I know you guys are having a little bit of trouble there with radians. So looking at number 4, we have pi over 6. And so we actually learned that in class today with our unit circle. And that pi over 6 is the basic one that we use. 1 pi over 6, 2 pi over 6, 3 pi over 6, 4 pi over 6. So pi over 6 is actually just right here. And so right there, whoops, pi over 6. If you wanted to convert that to degrees, you'd multiply it by 180 over pi. And you'd multiply it. The pi's would cancel. And 180 divided by 6 is just 30 degrees. So that one is just in... you want to put quadrant, Q-U-A-D. You don't have to spell out quadrant every time. But quadrant 1 is all that is in. So if you go down here to this harder one, which is negative 11, that's just quadrant 4, I think, is it? Yeah. So if you go over here to number 5, and you times by, convert it to degrees again to see what quadrants it's in, then you would times by 180 over pi. The pi's cancel. Free answers, Whitney, if you want to write this down. Yeah. So then we got... 1, so 11, so we're going to go negative 11 times 180 degrees, good, whoa. So negative 11 times 180 degrees, good, and then divided by 4, so that gives us negative 495. Now that's a huge negative angle, negative 400, so we do have to graph it because we're not sure what quadrant that's in. So we're going to start off by going all the way around to negative 360, and then we got to see how much more we go. So to figure how much more we go, we want to see how much further to get to negative 495. So we need the difference there, right? We need the difference between those two. So you could take 495 and subtract 360. 495 to subtract 360, and that tells us that it's 135 degrees between those two. So we need another negative 135 to finish graphing this. So here's another negative 90. So good. And then negative 135 is right about there. So this is negative 135 to this point in red. Okay. But then we also did the full 360 already. So negative 360 in blue plus, so plus the 90, so plus the negative 135 would give us the negative 495 total. So that is in quadrant 3. So the answer to number 5 is quadrant 3. Nice. Okay. So last but not least, we're almost there on this video. So now we're going to jump over here to these ones, and you do have to add 360 or minus 360. So for example, number 10, you could, so right now it's negative, so we need another negative 1. So we could just go another negative 360 if we wanted to, and minus 360. That would give us another. So basically you're going around the circle, you know, whatever 505 is, and then you're going to go now another 360 to there, you know what I mean? So you're just going to add 360 and minus 360. You might have to do it a few times. So when we minus those together, you get what? 800, a negative 865. And so that's a negative coterminal angle. Now to get a positive coterminal angle, we are going to have to take negative 505 and make it positive. That means we're going to have to add 360 and then probably add 360 again to try to get it to be positive. So we'll go ahead here and take negative 505 and add 360 and then add 360 again. And that gives us 215. Cool. So that means that 215 degrees is our positive coterminal angle. What I mean by positive coterminal angle is negative 505 is exactly the same as 200, right about here, 215 degrees. Yeah, that's the same thing. It's the same thing as going this way, negative 360, all the way to here. That's the same thing as negative 505. It's also the same thing as continuing on from there and going around one more time to this terminal side, which is also a negative 865. Woo! So that's all you have to do with those ones is get a positive and negative degrees number that share the same terminal side by adding 360 and or minusing 360. Now when you get to this one right here, you actually have to, it's in radians, so you could convert it to degrees, do the same process again. And or it'd be simpler if you just did use radians. 2 pi is 360, right? So instead of adding and minusing 360, we could add 2 pi because it's the same thing in radians. So you can convert to degrees and then do it that way, but you do have to convert it back to radians. Your answer, maybe I should have stipulated that. Your answer does need to be in radians. Okay. So if we go ahead and take pi over 4, for example, and we add 2 pi to it, right? So that'd be the same as just doing 1/4 plus 2 and then putting the pi in the answer at the end. And so how do we add 2 plus 1/4? Well, we could make the 2 into fourths by putting a 4 there, but if you divide it and you multiply it to the bottom, you have to multiply it to the top. So that's the same as 1/4 plus 8/4, which is just 9/4. So our positive is just 9/4. And then don't forget your what? It's really yummy. Don't forget it. Your pi. 9/4 pi is your positive. So then to find the negative, you do 1/4 minus 2 pi. So 1/4 minus 2, and then put the pi on the end. Make that into fourths again. So we have 8/4. And so 1/4 minus 8/4 is just a negative 7/4. And so that's our negative one. You can do it in your calculator as well if you're struggling, or you can convert it to degrees radians. And then last but not least, your reference angle is just the angle from the x-axis, so the x-axis to the angle they give you. So right here, so we have 120 degrees. How much more till we get 180? Well, 180 minus 120 is 60. So we need 60 degrees more, so 60 degrees is your reference angle. And over here, you got to find it to the x-axis. You got to find that little degree right there. So find out what that angle is, and you'll have the right answer for number 16. So thanks for watching, and watch again for the next one for the trig exact functions. And see you soon. Thanks for watching. Peace out, brother, sister. Bye. Bye, Bert. Bye, Whitney.